It was Luis Buñuel, the Spanish director, who inspired me to become a filmmaker, totally. I'd never seen films like his films.
Be quiet on set.
Okay.
Taro Documentary presents Filming in Thailand, a podcast for movie lovers with exclusive stories from behind the scenes.
Rolling sound
Sound rolling.
and action.
Hi, I'm your host Stéphane Lambert, and this is a new episode of Filming in Thailand. And here we are. This is a brand new episode of Filming in Thailand with our guest today, Kaprice Kea, famous director, also acting coach in Thailand. So welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Stefan.
Filming in Thailand.
First of all, are you filming in Thailand?
We hope to be doing that very soon. I'm actually in post-production on one film at the moment.
Okay. So you are filming in Thailand?
Yes, I am.
In the broad sense?
Yes, yeah. I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Filming in Thailand.
How did you find yourself living and working in Thailand?
Yeah. It was a holiday, I think, in 1998. And I just came to Samui and felt inspired and wrote a story based on hearsay, personal experience, and a bit of imagination. And came back to London, where I was living at the time and where my life was. And I wrote the script, and then I ran into an acquaintance at the time who was part of this new Producers Alliance, which was a group in London of producers, the kind of new wave of 90 producers.
Because you originally, where are you from?
Well, I'm from England, from the south coast, Kent, very close to France, actually.
Filming in Thailand.
So I ran into Tom Waller, who at that time was 28, and he was one of the most interesting and most intelligent young producers in town at the time. And he asked me where I was going. This was probably the year after Christmas. I said, I'm off to Thailand. And he goes, where are you going there? I said, well, I've got a screenplay that I'm developing and I'm going to go back and do some research and check a few locations. And he goes, when you get back, let me have a look. I said, why? And I didn't know that he was half Thai, but he was half Thai. And that was...
Because this is taking place in the UK.
That's right, yeah. I was living in London at that time. So I came back after my trip to Thailand, and he asked to produce the film, Butterfly Man.
Filming in Thailand.
I moved out to Thailand in 2000 to set everything up. And in fact, I not just moved out here, I just packed up everything and quit London completely.
And moved to Thailand.
Yes, yeah, and it was quite, it was like almost like a near-death experience, because I was dreaming of all my friends who were in London at the time saying goodbye to me in this night. But there was, email at least at that point, so there was a line of connection, but it was really a complete 100% cut with my past. And I came here. I was actually fortunate enough to be working for a commercials company, so I directed some TV commercials, and that kind of paid quite well.
Filming in Thailand.
Let me go back to this Butterfly Man film that made you, famous, because this was a kind of a breakthrough. Butterfly Man is one of these cult movies now today from Thailand.
Yes, I think it was, the Thai Film Office regarded it as the first ever indie film from overseas to actually be made in Thailand. And certainly when I went looking for prices at the facilities companies, indie? What's an indie? You see, at that time, it was Studio Pictures which came to Thailand, like The Beach, and Oliver Stone came here earlier. And so everything was very big and the prices were high. And, we were just going to be 12 of us. And our budget for our production was actually less than the catering budget for The Beach. So the Thai Film Office had a big problem kind of getting their head around what we were trying to do. But they were great, they made no cuts to the script, although it did kind of... The world of the film is on the fringes of prostitution, although it's not about that at all.
Filming in Thailand.
You wrote the film?
Yes, yeah. And
But you wrote the film without knowing Thailand.
yes, yeah.
And so when you find yourself confronted with the real Thailand, was there like some things you had to adjust? Was it?
Well, I think probably the only thing. Well, I aim for authenticity in my work. The only detail which may be slightly different was the mafia on the island were Farang Westerners, which I mean, reality isn't necessarily that, but it could be that,
But that's 20 years ago, so it's okay. You can talk about it. It's long past.
Yeah. So, because you can't really reflect badly on Thai culture, so it wouldn't be a Thai mafia or anything like that. But anyway, that was the only other detail. But everything else was very authentic. There was only one. You see, but when we make a film here, you have to have two officials from the Thai film office go down to the location and live in the same accommodation as the producer and director was, although we were living in tents.
Okay.
And they come and just make sure that you follow the script, which is quite okay. One scene we had the massage girl playing cards on the table. We had to remove the money on the table. And it was fine.
Could not show the actual money on the table on screen.
They could play cards, but they couldn't show the money on the table, which was no big deal. That wasn't crucial to any plot line or anything like that.
Is this rule still being applied? From what you know?
Well, I think so. I mean, in terms of, again, you can't put a punch in front of a Buddha, or something like that, for example. So there's kind of details like that, or the king's portrait or something like that you have to be aware of. But it's not really.
So it was respecting the culture, basically. It's not censorship.
Yeah, and it's nothing that would feel that I've kind of compromised anything. It's just repositioning things slightly,
You mentioned about Tom Waller being basically the person who gave you the opportunity or the excuse for you to move to Thailand and produce your Butterfly Man, the first film you did in Thailand. And you said it was the first indie foreign film shot in Thailand.
They actually changed the rules after we came there.
That's you'll have to talk to us and tell us more about that in a bit.
Filming in Thailand.
I have this quote that I ran by Tom, saying that filmmaking is all about appreciating the talents of the people you surround yourself with and knowing you could never have made any of these films by yourself. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. I mean, for me, it's the humanity which pops out of whether it's crew or cast. You get those kind of glimpses of a deeper experience, a different experience from yourself. So it's a celebration of humanity.
So when you arrived, did you face any cultural gap difficulties? Related difficulties?
Oh yes. In London, I had a good life and a promising career as a filmmaker. But I'd been there for some time, and in Thailand, it was really a challenge to kind of understand the logic. In England, you have the Notting Hill Carnival, every August, and it's Caribbean culture and stuff like that. But in a way, it's always kind of like just a degree different from, the indigenous culture in a sense. Whereas in Thailand, it's like you turn everything upside down. And that was a real challenge for me to kind of understand, and fascinating as well to understand.
You became the exotic one.
I became, still am, aren't I? Yeah, I did. I guess I must have done, yeah. But it was fascinating and charming as well, and I learned the language very quickly, even just on holiday trips, far more than when I actually moved here.
Do you think that now that you have had this experience in Thailand for some years, do you think this could have happened in another Asian country?
No.
Why is that? Is there anything so special about Thailand?
I think Thailand is totally unique. Yes, yeah. It might have been very pleasant to have moved to Vietnam or even Cambodia, but I think Thailand is significantly different from anywhere else.
Filming in Thailand.
So if I rephrase the question,
yeah.
Is there something so special about Thailand that would have made it impossible for you to have the same career so far in another country or from another country in Asia?
Well, I think in terms of filmmaking, we have to thank Oliver Stone when he came here in the early 90s to make his film here, because he actually...
You're referring to which one?
Heaven and Earth.
Heaven and Earth.
Yeah, and I think at that time, the Thai film industry was very young, and the crews had to get up to speed very quickly, and they did. And so when I arrived in 2000, I was working with a very good crew. They were well drilled and very professional. So you had the infrastructure here to make films, whereas the other neighbouring countries at the time didn't have that.
Yeah, that's a very important fact, that you have the infrastructure already at that time.
Yeah.
It was there.
Yeah. I worked with a great DOP doing the commercials, Kundom, and Matching Studios, and he really had his crew really like military style sort of thing,
Filming in Thailand.
We can say actually that you're part of this Thailand filming history that is now spanning over like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, there's they say that Butterfly Man is part of the Thai film folklore, just because there were just so many extraordinary stories which came out of the actual making of the film. There were some quite extraordinary films.
So for all the people who didn't watch Butterfly Man yet, is it available somewhere still for streaming somewhere or on demand?
Yeah, Tom has all that information.
Okay, so Fiat, you have to ask Tom where to find Butterfly Man. Okay, thank you, Fiat. Okay, if you had to pitch today Butterfly Man, do you think it would be made? Would it get access to financing, then to distribution?
Good question. Well, after Butterfly Man, a lot of films were made of a similar kind of subject matter, right? So it's not so novel. We were at Tom and myself were at a media thing in Copenhagen in 2000.
Okay.
So that's where we were developing the project with professionals and executives from around Europe, and it was like, I can't remember how many different groups. There was about 40 groups, 40 producer director teams.
Not from Thailand, from
Europe.
From Europe, yes.
Yeah, so they all met in Copenhagen to do this media thing, right? I think out of all the 40, we were the only people who actually got a film made out of that. And it was really, I could call him a genius, but it was really Tom's ability to actually take some private investment and make a film out of it. I would have given the money back. The budget was that small. But maybe to get it made and fly people over to act in it as well. And so he did an incredible job in actually getting that film to screen, really. It wasn't my dream, my vision exactly, but it was good enough to actually work,
That's a good transition to another set of questions about, how you... Because now you are more than a director. When I say more, let me rephrase it. Now you are not only a director, but you're involved in coaching, acting classes. You are very active as a casting director. You work on other people's script as a script doctor.
Yes.
So far, what is the activity, if you have one, that is more prevalent?
Yeah, it's about survival, Stefan.
Okay, no, but that's important. The industry is about survival.
Yeah, for example, it was always my dream. Well, around 23, 24, I decided what I wanted to do in my life, which was to direct films. And as I progressed, I realized that the material wasn't there, so I had to become a screenwriter to write the material.
Okay.
And of course, no one wanted to kind of produce my work, so I had to become a producer as well. So it was a necessity, just because I had that very singular view of how the kind of material I wanted. In Thailand, it was a similar sort of thing. When I came here, I knew I'd be directing Butterfly Man, but I knew that would be the end of my career as a director, because in Thailand, no one's going to, finance a foreigner. The kind of finance was not sophisticated at all. So I just decided to stay here. So I actually just used my directing skills to train actors and to create a kind of pool of talent who could work on international films which were coming here. So that was very modest. But of course, after a few months, all these actors who had been training said, well, how about the work? And I said, fine, well, you can audition and you'll get roles. But they said, well, where do we audition? So overnight I became an agent, which was like almost like, the complete opposite, Satan, But I became an agent by accident, just so that I could honour the work that the actors had put into their training and their abilities. And so that was kind of quite fun because having the background of, European film and having gone to Cannes all through the 90s, I kind of knew the industry, the working practices and customs and conventions. So I had a lot of fun whenever a foreign production would come over here and I had my actor. I could represent them in a very, very professional way, add things to the contract, strike out clauses which didn't apply or wouldn't. And made sure the actors not only had their interests represented, fresh interests represented, which actors here wouldn't normally get, but I'd double their fee as well. So they would advertise a fee at such and such a rate. And one very dear casting director down in Phuket, she says, "Oh, you will pay your guys 20,000 baht a day." I said, "Why?" "Well, we're all good." The rate was 10,000, so immediately that was very good for them, and they got the benefit. And I loved it whenever a new young actor got a role for their first ever film. It's like the first step in their dream was coming true, and so I got a lot of satisfaction. It wasn't my dream which was being lived, but it was their dreams, and that gave me some sort of pleasure. Yeah.
You are listening to Filming in Thailand, a podcast by Tero Documentary, with your host, Stéphane Lambert.
And that would be me. We are still with our fantastic guest, Kaprice Kea, director, producer, and casting director.
Yes.
So you were telling us that you suddenly switched from directing, kind of producing, writing, and to this kind of agent role for some actors. What happened? What went wrong?
Oh, you mean? Well, like I said,
what happened? How can you suddenly start to represent actors' interest? Was it a natural move? Someone asked you, or was it by necessity?
Well, it was because I had been training a handful of foreign actors here in Bangkok who were keen to get their movie careers started as actors. They just really wanted to work. And I just happened to know the 3 or 4 casting directors who cast international films at the time as friends, because it met me through Butterfly Man and everything like that. So I knew who exactly to speak to. And I can give a very good evaluation of each actor's abilities, strengths, and weaknesses, of course.
So on one side, you had a bunch of talents that you knew and you could vet for them.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you had those casting directors that usually don't have strong connection with the foreign talent pool that is here. They have, but they don't have time, or they don't have the connection to deep into that. So you suddenly find yourself in the middle.
Yeah, actually at that time, most of the Western actors tended to be people who worked in offices or were backpackers in Khao San Road. The casting director albums, you'd have photos of actors, passport photos, family shots, group shots, whatever, but no headshots. And I think it was about 2006. I would like to say I was introduced to Headshots Thailand with a guy I met called Jimmy Wing, who's a great photographer. And he actually understood the kind of form and conventions of a actor headshots. So we actually managed to encourage actors to start having headshots done. And that improved the whole standard of the industry, I would say, for the international sector.
Filming in Thailand.
How did you build a relationship with the casting directors, the Thai casting directors?
Well, like I said, they were people I knew anyway, friends, and I always give a very honest evaluation of an actor, strengths and weaknesses. And when I see an actor who's really good, I enthuse about them as well. So they, of course, I can't influence their decision, but they will see them and audition them and come to their own conclusions about that actor. And I do remember there was I think it was Living Films who were about to produce a film, And I sent along, 10 actors who'd been training with me. And all of them were like right on the nose. They were very good fits for the characters that were being cast. And so it wasn't just actually quality, but I was actually targeting the roles very precisely so that it was appropriate actors who were coming in to audition. Not like the usual thing where so-called agents here will send in loads of people who completely don't fit the match of the character description at all.
Filming in Thailand.
So always balancing the creative side and the business side of this crazy industry.
Yeah, I don't really have never had much interest in business, to be quite honest. But that kind of detachment was quite fun, really, because I could then, do things without sweating over it. I never calculated the commission that an actor was going to give me for a job or whatever. I just kind of told them the rate that I'd ask them what their rate would be, what they would like. And then I'd go out and try and get that for them, really, within the realms of what's realistic.
More an artist than a business person.
Yeah, I've turned it into an art. So cute.
Filming in Thailand.
Let's go more specifically into those projects that you were involved in at that time. So 4 or 5 Thai casting directors involved in large, usually American projects.
Yes, yeah.
Give us some titles.
There was...
If you remember. Because
there was Bangkok Dangerous.
Bangkok Dangerous.
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of funny stories with each of these productions, but I shouldn't always do that. Shanghai with John Cusack. Yes.
Tell us a story about Bangkok Dangerous. Because Bangkok Dangerous was a remake of an Asian film.
Yeah.
Then it became an American production.
Yeah.
With Nicolas Cage. At that time, he was a huge star.
That's right, yeah.
And the story was very Thai. I mean, very Thai in the sense that it took place in Thailand. It was about Thai politics, Thai gangsters, Thai entertainment. What was your involvement? Who did you bring to this film?
Yeah, I just mentioned, I think during that production, Nicolas Cage had to flee Thailand and came back again because there was some sort of unrest or something like that. Can't remember the details now, but I took a couple of actors along to play a couple of Farangs who walked through the kind of red light district, and they were basically having to improvise lines and stuff like that. And I won't mention the casting director, but basically there was no reader, so these 3 actors came in and they were trying to do the scene, but they had nothing to react against. So the casting director called for someone who came from the kitchen, basically, to feed the lines. And I thought, oh no, goodness, which was sad because really the kitchen person didn't have any clue what we were doing or why we were there. But anyway, 2 of the actors I brought along and got cast in the film, and they're there right at the very beginning, improvising some sort of banter. Yeah.
Filming in Thailand.
Certain roles in the makeup of a film don't always get properly recognised. Like a reader, when you do an audition, it has to be almost like as good as an actor, really, because whatever the reader feeds the actor is what they're going to respond to, and what they respond to is actually whether or not they get the role. So if a reader's does everything very, very low key and without any enthusiasm, then the actor has got nothing to respond to. So, that I've noticed that when I've been putting together budgets, that the reader is for one role where they don't want to pay, which is a shame. Same also with writers. Writers don't get paid very well here on the whole.
Here, you mean here in Thailand?
Yeah.
Why do you think is that?
Oh, it's just like anyone can write. And that's kind of the attitude that I've always felt that's been there, Maybe because it's not physical and it's kind of fairly invisible and whatever. And, I think that's the weakness probably in a lot of the productions. And that applies anywhere, I suppose. But, you would get a meeting with a very big executive who would pull out a big folder with the posters of the 2 next productions, like epic, beautiful artwork. And then I'd say, could I read the script? Huh? It's like, the script wasn't important. It was a poster, which was the thing that was going to make money. And of course, what happens is it doesn't work like that. You do need the script because that is actually what, it's the basis of a film, and what audiences respond to is or they're not put. They don't.
That's a struggle that is very particular to the movie industry. Is you need the business part. You need to, to create a business model for any production to exist and for any script to go to screen to reach an audience. At the same time, and really at the same time, literally, you need talents, you need creativity to bring up a story in a way that is innovative, relatable, that will turn into a story that people want to watch and share. So now that you've seen both sides, do you see those both sides being able to work together in a productive way?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I see it as two sides, actually. I see it as something which is integrated well or not integrated well. For example, this kind of concept of boom or bust, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say a filmmaker makes a film and it's a success, right? The company who are backing that filmmaker will then put in loads more money to back the filmmaker again because he's or she is a success. But sure as anything, they will never put as much energy into their second film as they put into their first film, a film that actually makes them. So what you get is you get a kind of a bust thing where money's overcommitted because the project that doesn't have a merit that it should have to be financed in such a way, it's just going on the back of someone who's just being successful. And it's really what's their trajectory, and are they actually going to be investing themselves?
Are you saying that success is not a sure recipe?
You can't get complacent, let's say. I mean, there are people, filmmakers and artists who are consistently strong, but they tend to be more of an exception than the rule.
Filming in Thailand.
Who are your influence?
Yeah, it was Luis Buñuel, the Spanish director, who inspired me to become a filmmaker, totally. I'd never seen films like his films before.
A film in particular?
Well, the first one I saw was Diary of a Chambermaid, but, the BBC actually screened all his films when he died, and I watched all of them, and it was an experience, yeah.
So that brought you to become a director?
Yes, yeah. Exterminating Angel, I would say, is my favourite.
And what about today's people?
Today's filmmakers?
Mm-hmm. If there is any that's like, you watch their film, you look at their play there, and you feel, wow.
Well, I'd say someone who's consistently been an inspiration is David Linklater, the American indie director. He never seems to make a bad film. And his films are contemporary. And I suppose what I'm saying is I like the politics of a man, the way where he's coming from, in a sense,
Filming in Thailand.
I'm wondering if you could experience both the foreign filming in Thailand and the Thailand filming in Thailand.
Good question. I would say that I've stayed, it's been very dead here for like a long time. There's been very few international films which have come here. It's kind of pretty much ground to a halt, and then there was COVID on top of that.
But it's coming back quite strongly. But there was another halt during the strike in Hollywood.
Yeah, that kind of postponed everything, so we were still waiting for things to pick up again.
But my question is, if I can rephrase, my question is, some people are telling us here that there is on one side the Thai industry, and then there is the foreign production coming to Thailand, and it doesn't mix.
Well, I think probably the one exception that I would cite is something like Bad Genius, right, which is Thai for Thai audiences primarily, but it's done well internationally, and there you see a sophistication in the filmmaking which I haven't really seen before. We have Lacon TV every night.
Lacon being like those kind of soap opera series.
Yeah. And I know millions of Thais watch for those and enjoy those, but I don't really take to it at all. And for years, they keep churning them out in the same way with this different, with the same sort of values. Filmmaking.
And the stories are always having the same structure.
Yeah, yes, and the acting is kind of overacting, and there's cheesy music and all sorts of things like that.
But that's the definition of a soap, huh?
Well, yeah.
Look what's coming out from Brazil, for instance, which is like the king of soap operas.
Yeah, I always wanted to make an anti-soap, actually.
Okay.
Kind of like something which turns those values upside down.
What would be an anti-soap?
Well, you would...
Something you wash your hand with and they are dirty? Or?
Well, you might shoot in a different way. The camera work would be different. The acting would be different. The content would be certainly different. No forced sex sort of thing and that sort of thing. And there's like I said, I would like to make an anti-soap. I think it would be a lot of mileage in that, and be interesting to see whether or not audiences tuned in the same numbers.
Filming in Thailand.
Is there any seat available for a foreigner in Thailand, making Thai content?
I think so, yeah. Like I said, when I first came here, I was completely fascinated and charmed by the culture here. So seeing it fresh, makes everything very much more sharper. So I don't see why not.
I'm trying to think about one person that would be one foreigner that would have made it to the Thai screens or Thai TV screens or whatever screen as a foreigner for Thai content.
I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, that's my question. It seems that there is something very specific about the Thai content industry, producing content for for Thailand. I mean, this is what it is. It's the same everywhere in the world, but it seems that there is a wall that prevent a foreigner to enter the Thai content industry.
Yeah, I mean, for example, with Lekon, if you were going to direct Lekon, then you'd have to conform to various conventions, filmmaking conventions. And those filmmaking conventions are not really particularly to my taste or probably most foreigners' taste as filmmaking. There's a kind of formula and a style, and it's successful. But it's not really something that foreigners would want to replicate. Hence, that's why I said an anti would be more interesting. But as I said, Bad Genius has kind of, moved things on a lot, far away. There you have very, very sophisticated and smart filmmaking, all Thai actors, all Thai crew, and something that I would like to watch.
Filming in Thailand.
Okay, we have a small game to play with you. It's called the yes or no questions.
The yes or no questions.
The yes or no questions.
A series of questions. Please answer by yes or no.
Okay.
What's your name?
Yes.
You got me. Okay, I start again.
I'll put a few maybes in if that's okay.
Have you ever directed a film with a budget exceeding $100 million?
No.
Have you ever directed a film with a budget being almost zero?
Yes. Well, 4-0, yeah.
Have you directed a film?
Would you like me to explain?
Yes, please explain.
It was actually, in fact, there's more than one actually. I'll tell you about a short film which was actually a camera test at an audition, and the actor showed it to me, and I watched it, and it's 5 minutes long. And I said, "Hang on, you said this was an audition?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, but that looks like a final film to me without a sound mix." And he goes, "Really?" Yeah. So basically what it was that he'd been for an audition where he was at work with an actress. They were in an apartment building, and it was just a couple having their kind of farewell love letter exchange and whatever. And it goes from him walking down the corridor into the living room, through to the bathroom. She's doing all her makeup, and he goes into the front room where he opens up an envelope and has a read of this love letter, which is a Dear John, like goodbye love letter. And then she comes out and meets him on the balcony, all done in one single take.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I thought it was amazing. I could see it in front of me. That's a film. So actually what he did was he went back to the filmmakers and said, "Do you mind if Kaprice kind of plays around with that and makes it into a film?" So that's what I did.
with a budget of many zeros, but nothing in front of it.
It cost nothing because it's already shot. It was a flawed take that the cameraman had kind of thrown away, discarded, but I used it. And because, if there's a double shadow on the wall and the audience are watching that, then they're not really watching the drama. And it was, very, very fertile with energy. And it was a great choreographed camera movement that I've made as a short film.
Filming in Thailand.
I see from your profile that is available on internet, so it means it's 100% true because it's available on internet. That the films you've been involved in are always big names. So of course your first film, Butterfly Man, that isn't today part of the Thai film history. Yeah. The cult film is at the Thai Film Archive. It's being shown regularly. But then you've been involved in Thai Pop, Siam Renaissance, who at the beginning had some trouble starting up, but then became also a cult film. You have Bangkok Dangerous, that is one of the films that people refer to. Then you had those more commercial films that were successful but didn't become cult, except for IP Man 2.
Right.
So you were a voice catching.
Yeah, they wanted to do an English version of it.
Okay.
So basically, I had to source the cast, direct the cast. These are voiceover
For the voiceover.
Yeah, voiceover, all in English, and then go to the studio and direct the actual voiceovers. And that was really a very satisfying. I mean, when I was told about Ip Man, I didn't know the film. I didn't know Ip Man 1, but I watched it. And I thought, well, that's a really impressive action movie. Yes. So that was very flattering. And I think we had a pool of about 9 actors from Bangkok. And we went into the studio and we, just did the voices for it.
That's a perfect transition to our third and last part of this Filming in Thailand podcast. I'll see you in a minute.
You are listening to Filming in Thailand, a podcast by Tero Documentary, with your host, Stéphane Lambert.
And we are back. We are still with our fantastic guest for this episode of Filming in Thailand. Kaprice, you mentioned about voice actors. That you use to make another version, another language version in another language of a specific film. So this, what comes to mind now is AI.
Okay.
So now language seems not to be an issue anymore because you shoot in I would say in English, and then it looks like it was originally shot in French. Mm. You write it in Thai. The actor speaks Thai, and on screen they are speaking Italian, Greek, or any other language. Mm. How would you? First, do you think this is the end of that line of work? Do you think this is opening new opportunities? How do you position yourself?
Right. Well, I mean, I was just watching something on Netflix a few nights ago. It's still very dreadful. So the technology hasn't arrived yet, And
dreadful in what sense?
Well, I mean, the casting of the roles in this particular production were like the wrong age. Like they were children with adult voices and stuff like that. And I can't believe that they put in so much money into these kind of different language versions and don't bother to cast it properly. I mean, it's difficult to kind of just suspend your self-belief when the casting's way off. The directing of the voice talent's dreadful as well. I need to find a studio where they do like a job for me there. But yeah, no, and it does actually give a very skewed perspective of the original language version of the film, basically, especially because I'm listening to these films in English and it's just, poor. So, first of all, the technology hasn't arrived yet. Well, I suppose anything's possible. I remember when I was a kid, I would dream of people who had died and whether or not they could appear in films. And now that could have probably happened now. So you could bring Elvis Presley back or something. So, the technology is there to make that sort of thing happen in a sense. Well, a few months ago, a few local actors were really so over the top with enthusiasm because we've just done a production where their voices changed character and stuff like that through the technology that existed. But I kind of looked at that and I thought, but yeah, in a few years you're going to be completely redundant, and this will be your last kind of chance to actually enjoy yourself as a voiceover artist, because that won't be around in a few years' time.
I have this quote from Jack Nicholson that also could participate in this discussion. So my quote from Jack Nicholson is this one: the best actors instinctively feel out what the other actors need and they just accommodate it. AI is so far linked to one player, one actor, and then another one, but doesn't really connect the dot between, the different actors, their individual plays and the way they interact together.
Well, the interaction is the key, right? Because you're responding truthfully to what you're being given. And if there's a disconnect between what character A gives and what character B responds with, then it doesn't work. There's no chemistry, there's no frisson or anything like that. So they're in their own bubbles. And one thing when I train actors is to not be in your own bubble.
Chemistry, that's a very interesting concept. Chemistry. And so maybe the future of your job, if I may say so, is into dealing with this chemistry. Creating this chemistry, making the chemistry possible.
Yeah, I like to create the conditions for that chemistry to work.
How do you do that?
Well, you want my secrets?
All of them.
Let me give you one example. Is playful, confident, and relaxed. These 3 words: playful, confident, and relaxed. If I can get an actor into that kind of state of mind, then they're playful. It means that they can be spontaneous, they can play, which means the options are open, right? Confidence is that kind of propulsion, so that they can actually say a word. You have to be confident to speak, right? And relaxed again is being able to strip away all that kind of world which you come from, because action and cut is the only duration that counts. Anything out of that you can't take back and edit, but everything with strips of film or whatever between action and cut is what you work with. So if you're relaxed, then you don't remember the kind of call from a boyfriend 10 minutes ago which was stressing you out or whatever. So for an actor to be able to get to that kind of state is very important. You see, we're visual, right? So if I'm like this, I can only play characters like that. But if I'm like this, I can do all sorts of things. And that's kind of how you relate to a voice and the mentality and the physicality as well.
At the same time, and you're trying to, flatten everybody's differences.
Flatten?
I'm being provocative on purpose. Huh?
Yeah, I like to celebrate the differences. Like, if we go back to the beginning of this conversation, we were talking about what Tom said about, film being made up of different humans and...
Tom Waller.
Yeah, Tom Waller, yeah.
Your producer on Butterfly Man.
That's right, yeah. So going back to that, film is about life, and life is full of humans. And every fat woman, and I don't mind saying fat, but she'll say, I'm fat. I say, no, the world is full of people of all shapes and sizes, ethnicities, ages, and you have a place in film just as much as any other actor has. And that's how it is. We have our differences, and we should celebrate those differences. And there's a place for them.
Filming in Thailand.
I know you're a strong advocate for, equality, gender equality, free speech, and freedom of creativity. We discussed that before.
Common sense.
Common sense. Common sense, but maybe need a push.
Yeah, sure.
So in your daily work, how does it show? How does it translate? Like when you write a script, when you direct actors, when you train actors and actresses?
I like to be available, and I like to be able to respond to, actors always are asking me questions outside of the workshops, about their career and stuff like that. So I like to make myself available to those who want to ask me something, That's one aspect of it. I like to make sure that I can continue my own work and my own projects, and just it's time management, I suppose, really.
What's coming up? What's coming up?
Well, Bootleg Guru is the film that I want to finish. It was shot 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, and the master tapes went missing for like over 15 years.
And you found the tapes?
Well, I won't mention his name, but someone from the crew had them stored in his apartment for over 15 years without knowing it, and we had asked everyone where his tapes had gone to, and then they finally turned up the Christmas before last, and he called me up. I went and picked them up, and to my surprise, they're all in perfect condition.
Tapes, it's not film on celluloid.
This was shot on high definition mini DV.
Okay.
And in fact, because it was high definition, it was very difficult to find a camera to actually transfer them onto, into
another digital form. Yeah.
Yeah, so even when I got the tapes, I couldn't see if there was anything on there at all. Oof. But we found a place who got one of these nearly obsolete cameras, and we managed to make the transfer.
Okay.
So extremely lucky. So that film feels that it's got a kind of reason to live, you know.
There is actually a documentary from a kind of drama documentary from Singapore that I've seen in Sheffield DocFest a few years ago, which is a Singaporean group of filmmakers that had their film school project stolen by one of the boyfriend. Stolen. Not stolen, but the boyfriend disappeared with all the films, all the tapes, all the rolls. And a long time after that, the wife of this late guy, the guy disappeared, said to one of the person involved in this group, "Hey, he passed away. I have this box with your name. I'm sending it back to you." And then she found herself with all these rolls, all these tapes. And it's the story of trying to showing the film and trying to understand what happened. There was no sound available. What about yours? Do you have the sound? The audio is there?
The audio is very well recorded. In fact, it's a bizarre project because there were 12 actors and just 4 crew.
Okay.
And it was one of these very first, HD cameras, and we had a steady cam with it. And the film, we went to the northern hills of Thailand. Each actor had a character, but there was no story, and that was the rule, to make the story up day by day by day, which we did over 10 days. And so it's quite an interesting project. It turned out to be a comedy. And
that's nice.
So that cuts together quite nicely. Just need to find a bit of funding to finish that off. And then in the box that I was given, there were 5 other tapes which were marked the Kit Kats. And I thought, well, the Kit Kats was a dance company that were basically 7 women who I kind of took out off the farms and cultivated to give them a professional career. We got
as dancers.
As dancers, yeah. So choreographers, capoeira dancers and whatever. And over a period of time, we trained up and we bought costumes and photo shoots and things like that. And I wasn't aware of it, but friends were filming me doing this.
And I was lucky enough to screen this film. You invited me for a private screening, and I must say that's quite impressive. But there is a but, not on the creativity side, but there is a lot of music in this documentary film. It means a lot of rights that must be clear, and it costs a fortune. How are you going to deal with that?
Well, just going back to the tapes.
Uh-huh.
I mean, like I said, I never directed any of that. It was just filmed, captured
a documentary, yes.
Yeah, by people who were friends of mine. Yeah. But yeah, just watching those 5 hours, I could see there was a story there. The tapes, the music, I'll just have to substitute that out. We'll bring in a composer and have to do something which kind of replicates it or something different, but we'll have to substitute always commercial.
No problem, only solutions.
Filming in Thailand.
Here at Filming in Thailand, we have a time machine.
Okay.
So basically what this machine does is that it enables us to travel back in time, and we are going to meet your own self at the age of 20.
This is the time traveling machine.
I think you're 24. And you can either ask yourself a question or tell yourself an advice, give yourself an advice. What would you tell yourself?
Trust.
Don't trust or trust more?
Trust, yeah. Trust in others.
Trust in others.
Yeah.
That would be your advice to your own self at the beginning of your professional life.
Yeah.
Filming in Thailand.
Would you say you're going to have an opportunity to travel, seize it and go with it? Don't hesitate.
Yes, I mean, I would. Around that time, I was hitchhiking across Europe, the continent, Amsterdam down to Italy with a Super 8 camera. So that's what I enjoyed doing. And at 24, I was actually just starting my first ever 16mm film, a proper film. But I had no contacts in the film industry, never been to film school. And I'd kind of inhabited the top floor of a school in Chelsea, like an uninhabited school, abandoned. And I just got money to actually make this film. It was only £1,000 or something like that. And I'd got homeless people and unemployed people to come onto the project. Everyone was working for nothing. And I was thinking, God, we got to film in 1 week. And then I looked up at the ceiling and someone had made a big hole in the ceiling of this school and was putting down, a kind of crane sort of thing, hook. And basically I realized at that point is I don't have to do any more. The film will take care of itself just because of the, critical mass of individuals who have their own, like I said, their own experience and skills, which I didn't have, which they were bringing to the film. And all of a sudden this fairy tale, which it was being built inside this school building.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was a studio film, actually. There was no daylight or anything like that. It was all enclosed in a castle, a forest, and a cottage.
Nice way to start a career.
It was good because, most of those 100 or so people who came to help me, I didn't really know very well.
I would like to offer you the award of Best Guest of Filming in Thailand. If Yat is helping to bring you the award. It's a t-shirt. It's the official Bangkok International Documentary Awards t-shirt. One of our partners. We are offering this award to all the guests.
Oh! I thought I was going to be special.
You are special because you are the best guest of the day.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Can I write that down on my IMDb?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course. It's an official award.
Filming in Thailand.
And that concludes this episode of Filming in Thailand. Our show is available on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube with subtitles. This is important for people who cannot, listen to us. Mm-hmm. At least they can watch and read. You can also go to filminginthailand.com for more details and links. Thank you for being such a nice guest, for sharing so much. Thank you very much for coming today.
Stefan, thank you. I've enjoyed it a lot. It was good fun.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Okay, people, fantastic. That's a wrap.
That was Filming in Thailand, an original podcast brought to you by Taro Documentary on Rudi Podcast, with your host, Stefan Lombe.
Thank you for listening and stay tuned for our next episode of Filming in Thailand. So you want to add a word regarding the Thai Film Office?
Yeah, well, it's actually something very, very positive, actually. First of all, a few years after I'd made the film, I met one of the officials, 45 officials it took to assess my script. And she said, we never made any cuts to your film script because we could see that it was coming from a good place. They changed the rules so that now we don't have to photocopy 45 versions of the script after translating it, of course. It's only 25 now. And instead of 2 officials having to go to location, for indie films, it's only 1. So the film paved the way for indie filmmakers to come to Thailand at less cost and bureaucracy.